Welcome. I'm Alice Alicia Jones, and this is another one of my Living Consciously videos. And I haven't had a chance to go through all of my comments, but somebody previously had recommended that I introduce the angels behind me, and they complimented me on the angels. And I did this once before, but these are four archangels. So I'm just going to step out of the way a little bit so the camera can focus on them. And effectively, this is Saint Michael. This is Archangel Raphael. This is Archangel Uriel, and this is Archangel Gabriel. And he's the one with the trumpet because he is the one who came to Mary as when she was in a scene. And okay, we're gonna have to start again. So interesting that I have conflicts with this because effectively I just feel that today's topic might be a little bit controversial, and there was a part of me that was a little bit afraid of this, but I didn't want to change it because this is what my guides told me I had to present. And as part of my morning prayers, what I have been doing is I've been reading extra books in the morning. And one of the books that I've been reading for the past couple months is Mary Magdalene's Gospels, the Gospel according to Mary Magdalene. And this was a gospel that was found in Cairo in 1896. So it was found way before the Dead Sea Scrolls were found. And it was found in a different place. And interestingly enough, what I read yesterday in preparation for today's meeting was two sentences, and I'm quoting. You may refrain from bearing false witness, quote unquote. Next one. You have the capacity to stop all your lying. And effectively, I looked at those words and I thought, may, element of choice. Have the capacity, element of choice. Every single thing that we think effectively is by choice. Even when you don't think you have a choice, you do have a choice because you can recognize that your thoughts are spiraling you out of control and are taking you down into a cavern that is not beneficial to you. You can recognize that. You can tell by the way you feel. And effectively, the way that you are going to understand your choices, or I should say, when you're going to understand your choices, is when you have your life review. at the end of your life, as soon as you go into spirit and you have your life review, and they will show you at every juncture where you could have chosen a different thought. And they will also show you the outcome of that thought. And effectively, I do know right now that we, as a collective unit in the United States, and we collectively around the world, watched in horror the outcome of one man's lies, the outcome of one man's ego run amok, the outcome of how much damage can be done, how painful life can become when one man is allowed to set a tone for action to his followers from an action based on thoughts, based on words that are not true. I'm not going to go into the long and short of it. Everybody that's out there probably has an opinion. They're on this side or they're on that side. You could stand in your own space. You can stand in your own opinion. You have free will. You can do whatever it is that you want to do. But I was very, very intrigued by the fact that the Gospel of Mary Magdalene said, you may refrain from bearing false witness. You have the capacity to stop all your lying. And I know in one of the previous ones, I think it was last week, where I talked about my sister who made a comment to me. They all lie. Everybody lies. And I thought, no, I don't agree with that. And then I had to evaluate what the biggest lie was that I told myself. Go to last week's session if you hadn't seen that already. And I recognized that, yeah, there's an element of lying in every one of our lives. And the only thing that what can happen is that when we allow our ego self to lead the course of our life, this is what happens. Fortunately, I'm a student and a teacher of A Course in Miracles. And A Course in Miracles, one of the very first things you're going to learn in A Course in Miracles is the ego is insane. Obviously, you do need the ego, I feel, to get you through a certain point in life. And then you have a choice. Do you align with the ego or do you align with spirit? Ego's voice, very loud, very brash, very noisy. Spirit's voice, very quiet, very subtle, and very, very, very positive. It doesn't matter what the ego says to you. It is never, ever, 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 ever going to tell you to hurt somebody. It is never going to tell you to do something that could wreck somebody's life. Do something to undermine somebody. Do something to hurt somebody. It just will not. And again, getting back to Mary Magdalene's words, she said, what is, is. What is not. And if you stop to think of what the world witnessed on January 6th, effectively, 10 days ago? It witnessed something that was fomented by words, assuring the people, the followers, of that which was not. But yet it was kept being reiterated that this was so. This is called gaslighting. If you don't know what gaslighting is, look it up. There's a wonderful movie, I think, from the 1939 that is actually called gaslighting. And it's a term now that is coming way to the forefront. Never heard of it 10 years ago. And now it's coming way to the forefront. So, effectively, why this is so important is because of the evolution of the earth and where we are going with the vibrations of the earth. Mother Earth is raising her vibrations. She is going to, and I had this image once, maybe 25, 30 years ago, of the earth splitting into two, literally like the zygote, the fertilized egg splits into two. I had that same exact image. And what I didn't understand then, what I do understand now, is that the earth has an option of splitting into a higher dimension while still retaining its lower dimension here. For example, Venus. Venus is occupied by absolutely incredible beings called the Hathors. Very loving, very giving beings. If you do any work with Tom Kenyon, he actually channels the Hathors. And they're very notable because they have like elfin ears and they kind of come out through the side of their head and almost like a triangular face. But where are they in Venus? They are in the fifth dimension. They are not, you cannot, if the strongest telescope in the world that brings images, and I think the Hubble spacecraft has brought images of Venus, cannot get pictures of the Hathors, and yet that is their home. And Venus has always been known as the planet of love. And there's a wonderful song, Venus, I can't remember who the artist was, but I think it was in the 60s, Goddess of Love That You Are. And it's absolutely magnificent. So effectively, just know that Mars has an equivalent. It has a whole civilization living in the fifth dimension on Mars. We could have the same thing. We could have two versions of planet Earth. We could have a version that is barren because of the way that the third dimensional creatures spoiled it, poisoned the air, poisoned the water, poisoned the atmosphere, poisoned the soil, poisoned the elements, poisoned and left their garbage to kind of ferment on the earth. Or we could have another one that is an earthly paradise, but the people of the same vibration will be the ones who occupy the earth. This is why it is so critical that you understand how important your thoughts are and how important it is to continue to create a reality based on love, not on fear. What we witnessed, the anger, the hatred, and the resentment The bitterness on January 6th, what we witnessed and all the videos that are coming out was based on all those emotions that align with fear. And again, according to A Course in Miracles, there are two emotions on this planet. One is love, the other is fear. If it doesn't come from love, it comes from fear. That's the long and short of it. So, and everybody thinks, well, hate is the opposite of love. No, no, fear is the opposite of love. And the irony to fear is on the scale of consciousness, I think it's somewhere around 50. Guilt, blame, and shame are 10, 20, and 30. Christ consciousness to godliness, 700 to 1,000. 1,000 is where God lives. From 700 on up, the ascended masters that are known as saints, Jesus, the Blessed Mother, all the ascended masters. That's where they live. That's why it is so difficult for us to see them. We can see them. We can see them in our mind's eye, because in our mind's eye, we can see into the fifth dimension. And most everybody has discounted what they saw in their mind's eye or what they see in their mind's eye as a product of their imagination. But what is a product of your imagination? It's a product of spirit. So effectively, I took the word imagination and I looked at image. I am a nation. And I thought, geez, that's so neat. That those words are so neat, because this takes me back to Stephen Hawkins when he was doing an explanation of how the universe, where the universe starts. And no matter where he turned in his explanation, it basically starts with you. It starts with the individual. Every teenager knows the world revolves around them. And we're going to have to recognize that it does for us too. And instead of dismissing this as just idle talk, understand what we are creating, what it is that we are creating with our thoughts. This type of foment that we witnessed on January 6th, one of my clients from A Course in Miracles, who's also my massage therapist, said to me, she said, because she follows me on A Course in Miracles, she said, 4 years ago, you told us that he would bring us our lessons. He would teach us what we needed to know. And I truly believe that today. I absolutely do believe that there is a major lesson in this, in everything that has happened to us and everything that will continue to happen to us. But I feel Mitt Romney said it best. Basically, he said, tell the truth. Tell the truth. If one man's ego was able to accept the truth of what happened with the election, none of this would have happened. But it brought to the surface every single thing that we had to know, because it was fomenting underneath the surface. So that to me is so amazing. And it's so incredible that we can see and be witness to something that we know could topple our democracy if we allowed it to play itself out. And if we, because there was an a wonderful article in the Washington Post that showed the the continents and democracies that had gone by the wayside, and there was two or three on every single continent, and there were other democracies that were toying with authoritarianism effectively. So which was and then they showed so they just wanted you to see in a broad layout what the condition was. Anyway, let's see what else I need to share with you. I think that was it. I think I covered every single thing. Um, oh, okay. I guess one last comment. Had there been any truth to the election was stolen, then 60 lawsuits presented in front of 90 different judges would have agreed to that. And yet, 60 lawsuits did not present one shred of evidence. And in reading the Post, they kept reiterating that you could go to jail if you lied to a judge, because that would be enough cause to that type of perjury would be enough cause to land you a jail term. So no matter what the arguments were, that they could not bring forth any kind of evidence that there was any truth to the election was stolen. And so those of you who still may believe it, just open your eyes, but more importantly, open your heart to the truth of what is the reality out there. The truth. Tell the truth. I do thank you for watching. I've gone to 21 minutes, and I try to keep these to 15. Next week, I know I have an intention to start on the I am discourses, the ones that were given to us by Saint Germain, starting in the 30s, and then continuing on, I think, through the 80s or 90s. But my guides always have, I can never guarantee that what I think I'm going to present is what I'm going to present, because they always come forth with something else. But I so thank you for being here, and I will hope to see you next week, Friday. And if you have any comments, I'm more than happy to read them and to answer them. Welcome. I'm Alice Alicia Jones, and this is another one of my Living Consciously videos.